Welcome to Vlog Radio, and this is Vic Talk Show with your friend Vic. Today, I'm going to share you some of those information which you might have been looking on your phone or TV screen since last few days about China and coronavirus disease, the COVID-19. Probably some of my reports and information which I'm going to share with you, you might have seen or already guessed. But what I will bring to you is something which I feel, I know, I did research or analysis, and I come with a conclusion to bring you uncovering some hidden truth. I'm not saying that I'm bringing you some news to expose China or this coronavirus. It's very deeper. But yes, whatever I'm going to tell you today, you might have not heard or watched ever before. They are the main culprit who actually made this situation entire world to struggle, suffer, and go through with this all circumstances. Their economy is not struggling, they're flourishing. And I'm just trying to layer off some of the information which I did on my best level to figure out what's going on around the world. And why and who will be benefit of all this. We will start right from there where we always start. Now look at that COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic cases till April 3rd, 2025 GMT. We have total 1 million cases currently and 53,000 deaths around and 213,000 total recovery. In the beginning days, we had 80% recovery cases and 20% total death. So these cases are actually completely closed. We don't need to think about them. We don't need to worry about them because 80% patients gone back home, 20% gone back to the heaven. Now we come here on the active cases. In this situation, which is currently, this is something which we should worry about. We should actually think about this. We should not think about this. This is total cases which media actually tells us. Media don't tell us that 80% people have returned home. Media don't tell us that current situation is this number and 95% patients are in mild condition to recover and get back home. They don't tell you that only 5% cases are in serious critical condition which need to be recovered, and maybe this could be 4% as recovered cases or as death cases, whatever. They're not gonna tell you. Now we're gonna take a look on the total current situation over here. So America have the highest number of patients. This is something very dramatic, that till 3-4 months when entire world was struggling, by March 1st America had only 68 patients. So if we see here that New York has the highest number of cases, which is actually 4th largest, not the number 1 largest state with the number 1 largest population. It's actually the 4th number. But this is the most expensive and most cost of medical is high over here. The tax rate is very high. So somehow it's a very big potential for some business-minded people on COVID-19 business. Actually, for me, I call it COVID-19 business now. Now you see New York and New Jersey are just very sister cities, like adjoined with each other, whereas California is the second biggest city in the terms of business. Now these three are actually democratic states, you can say anti-Trump states, and over here we have 93,000, almost 135,000 cases of patients. Now if you see over here, only 3,000 total approximately deaths. Now 3,000 total death among 130,000 is actually very less number, which they're not telling. They're telling you the number which they have as a patient. Now what is the secret here to understand the fact? The secret is here actually. So by first week of March, the total cases end of February 29. So by March first week, there were total 68 cases, and within 1 month we got 245,000 total cases. how it's possible. And even if it's possible, we have to understand the business behind this entire, game of numbers. Now, I will tell you that the game of numbers, but let me tell you this, that why there are so many cases of the patients among these states. The reason is that these are patients who are going back to their home. As you can see, the US is not declaring how many patients they are recovering like any other country, which is actually disclosing that they have these much cases of closed, these much cases of active, whereas in America they're not disclosing any information about that, because the biggest thing is this. So this is the biggest reason that in America, if you are uninsured, you could be facing nearly $75,000 in your medical bills if hospitalized for coronavirus. And I'm not talking about something, this is actually CNBC medical news report, and the other one is Business Insider. So both of these organizations are, media organizations are telling the fact that if you don't have insurance, your cost will be $73,000, and somehow this could be approximately more or $35,000 if you have with insurance. That's what I heard, that in some cases they have $35,000 approximately. Now think again, you are going to pay, or if the government is going to pay, if you are not paying, then in American government, if someone is going to pay $75,000 from his pocket, and if he doesn't have, then government is going to pay, then where this cost will be going later to the government, to US government. And now US government will apply this later on their taxes. But the question is, this is a very big number burden. These people who are getting treatment for $75,000 each patient, you have to understand that these numbers, if you multiply with $75,000 each, what these states medical companies are making as a bill on income. Whereas the numbers in Asia for the same treatment, if you see, are lower, and the payment for treatment is actually $300 to $800, maximum $1,000 without any insurance. It's coming $1,000 without any insurance. Now think again, $300 to $1,000 and $75,000 if you don't have insurance. How that's make any kind of logic that you are going to pay, or your government? The highest number of patients country coming from Italy on April 3rd, 2025, 43 GMT. Currently the total cases we can see here on the screen, 115,242, 14,000 deaths, and recovery 18,000. What is most shocking right now is that we have to understand that in the beginning Italy had more death cases, okay, and their ratio of recovery was this. Now these are the close cases. We should not worry about it at all. What we need to worry about, those who are currently under treatment, those who are actually working on it. And this is the situation that 95% patients are going to be recovered, and 4 or 5% patients are under critical condition. Now, once these patients get recovered, there's a bill which is actually being made on the name of the patient, either to be paid by the patient or the insurance or the government. Now, these are actually developed nation with high cost of living, high cost of medical, billing. And these all top 5 countries are from Europe. These are United Nations, very important countries, UNESCO's very important countries, IMF, very important countries. So when you talk about IMF's top 5 countries, which is actually these countries coming from Germany, France, Spain, these countries are actually very important role play in Europe, and they are going to be these kind of numbers. Then you can understand that we are actually not looking at the fact that more than 90% cases are getting recovered, and when they are getting recovered, in that case they are going to pay the bill. Now if they are going to pay this bill, which is actually in America, which is the highest cost of medical in the world, if they're going to pay $73,000 or $75,000 on each treatment, who would like to have this patients if anyone age above 50 or 70 in the family coming home with $75,000 debt on his shoulder, or the government is actually going to pay? The cost is actually going to be paid by someone, but who's actually making money out of this? That is the question. Whereas in Asian countries, even in China or India or other developing nations, the cost of medical treatment for the patients is actually $300 to $800 or maximum $1,000. What do you think? How this $75,000 make a logic to be paid by a patient or the government for the treatment if that patient is above 50 or 70 age, who is not able to contribute any tax, who's not able to contribute anything to the family, to the society, and he's counting his days to go to heaven. I'm sorry to say these words. What I'm trying to tell you, that how much this coronavirus disease have cost to the world, how much you cannot actually believe, and that's what I will tell you in my next documentary. Currently I'm just talking about the culprit, and that culprit is making money, and that is actually China. So in China, we don't want to look on their numbers because these are not believable number, but if we see that these countries which are actually targeted by China by using this kind of biochemical weapon or whatever, it's actually surprising that they have targeted the very important countries of IMF or world, UNESCO. Those countries are very important countries. Beside US, these top 5 countries are from Europe, and they are actually very high cost of living, high cost of medical, and they are going to pay almost similar, even if they pay half of $75,000 either by patient or the government. Then who's making money? The medical organization. And who's making more money? Those who are making their business when people are scared, living at home, watching TV or YouTube or whatever social media or other kind of media. So this is actually becoming a business where 95% patients are recovering, and we are not trying to understand that if 95% patients are recovering, then why we need to panic when we look at the numbers, when they are trying to tell us, hey, look at the numbers. These numbers are scary. We are having 1 million cases of deaths, and this actually make people scared. Oh my God, 1 million people. We think like they're dying. No, 95% are going back home. But the way they are actually showing you only the numbers, which is in the beginning also 96% recovery, and they are telling the world that we have only the patient's ratio, 3,300 total death and 81,000 total infection. Not believable. And I'm not going to do more research. What I'm trying to tell you, we've forgotten that China made people fool around the world, telling that just because of their patient coming because of those food which they eat in through the wet market, and how that wet market patients are lesser 1,000 total infection. Not believable. And I'm not going to do more research. What I'm trying to tell you, we've forgotten that China made people fool around the world, telling that just because of their patient coming because of those food which they eat in through the wet market, and how that wet market patients are lesser than the world who's not eating those bat or cat or whatever. Now, this is actually scary, that entire world is going to struggle because of this economical crisis rather than medical crisis. This is not actually medical crisis. And what I'm trying to tell you, that these top 5 countries which you see over here on the graph, on the numbers of figures which you see here, they actually not which actually scaring us. These countries are top 5 European countries. We can see what is the connection with China in these countries. Then we will try to understand. The America have highest number of patients cases, and America have more than 5 million Chinese people living as American citizens. So these are overseas Chinese people living in these countries and doing businesses, because Chinese 95% people do businesses and they are mostly rich. And how they become rich? Just minding their business. They're not letting you to be a competitor. And that's what they're doing right now. 5 million Chinese are living in US itself, in Western country. So those top 5 countries and America, you can see here those countries that beside Asian developing nations, they don't have any patience from making any money for China, because China know these countries cannot make any potential money for business for us. So let's target those countries who have highest number of Chinese there and who have highest medical cost, and that's what they're doing in US. 5 million Chinese. What is the connection? You can probably understand when you will look at those countries list where I just shown you that how these people are numbers in these countries. The another country is Canada. Now beside in Northern America, 5 European countries, you can look at here that what position is of those 5 European countries. France, you remember that France, Italy, and so Italy have around about 320,000, whereas UK have almost 500,000, France have 700,000, and Australia have 1.2 million, Canada have almost 2 million, US have 5 million. Now these countries, starting from Germany, Spain, Italy, UK, France, these are those top 5 countries of Europe, which is actually targeted by China to make the money from their dirty business of COVID-19. And I hope they will soon stop all this. Neither world will pay a very high cost, which will never be recovered such easily. And I hope you're getting my point, what I'm trying to say. If we are going to pay something which we are not able to pay for generations, I hope China will stop all this. I hope we will find any solution at cheaper cost, because these companies are making more and more money on this. You all know very well how China is really bad to earn money at any cost. Entire world know that how Chinese are so greedy and so ambitious to make the money. They can go on any extent to make money. We always said that globalization is spreaded by America and benefiting America. But the fact is that America is being just a platform, just a stage where China is actually making more money. In last 1 or 2 decades, China economy have 8% GDP growth rate, whereas America only 2 or 3% around. We have to understand that entire world is consuming more product rather than using more services of America. So we have to understand this globalization benefit is giving strength to China, not only to America or to America. Let's figure it out, the fact and the reality to face, and fight back with this nation who's making this entire world sick for their sake of business. I hope you have understood this entire game. Please pay attention, try to understand the story behind every news, and don't panic. Take care of yourself, your loved ones, your family, and I hope on my next documentary I'll expose you some more sensational internal information about COVID-19. Take care, God bless.